Good morning, everybody. I found this wonderful book, title of which is The Gift of Anger, and it was written by Arun Gandhi, who is the grandson of Mahatma Gandhi. And it's a wonderful book. It really is. I might donate it to the library so we can all read it. And my reading is going to be taken from Lesson 10, You Will Be Tested. He called his grandfather, he spent 2 years when he was a young boy, I think around 12 or so. He spent 2 years with his grandfather on his grandfather's ashram. And he called his grandfather Bapuji. And so that you're going to hear that a lot in the reading. The 2 years I spent with Bapuji on the Sevagram ashram were a crucial time in both his life and world history. All the political forces in India were coming to a boil. The country was getting closer to achieving independence from Britain, but Bapuji's hope for a united country where people of all religions and castes could live together harmoniously was being dashed at every turn. An idea had been forged a decade earlier of creating a separate Muslim state out of some of India's northern provinces. The country would be called Pakistan, which means land of the pure. Bapuji was ardently opposed to the partition. One of the leaders of the partition movement was a Muslim named Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Like Bapuji, he had started his career as a lawyer in London, but he had never given up his proper bearing. He fought hard against Bapuji, so many people were shocked when, as independence grew closer, Bapuji proposed to Britain's Lord Mountbatten, the last viceroy of India, that Jinnah should become India's first prime minister. Bapuji thought this was the only way to win the trust of the Muslim minority and preserve a united country. His suggestion was pretty spectacular when you think about it. American politicians care so much about staying in power that they are willing to stop legislation, stonewall Supreme Court appointments, and even shut down the government to feed their own egos and war chests. Bapuji was willing to say that the good of the country should be above all personal feelings and desires. When we are tested, we don't prove our strength with violence or anger, but by directing our actions for good. India had given Bapuji the great gift of a brief peace after his death. I had to give him the similar gift of forgiveness in the face of great evil. Bapuji had once explained that it is easy to love those who love you, but the real power of nonviolence comes when you can love those who hate you. I know how difficult it is to follow this grand law of love, he had said, but are not all great and good things difficult to do? Love of the hater is the most difficult of all, but even this most difficult thing becomes easy to accomplish if we want to do it. He was right that it was difficult to find forgiveness, but I knew I had to do it, both for myself and for him. It would be my tribute to our 2 years together. I remembered again how my grandfather liked to say that an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. We need to redefine what we mean by justice. Our goal after a tragedy should be to see how we can make the world better, not prove that we can descend into more violence and revenge. We all want happiness in our lives, and we sometimes think we will find it in material things and getting more and more at the expense of others. But happiness comes from a much deeper source. It comes from fighting for peace and justice for all. Bapuji displayed the deep calm and contentment that all of us dream of possessing. He didn't win every struggle, and he could not completely remake the world in the image that he had imagined, but he remained fully engaged every day in making himself and the world better. Joy lies in the fight, in the attempt, in the suffering involved, he said, not in the victory itself. All of us can continue Bapuji's fight for peace and justice and stand firm in the power of nonviolence. I truly believe that in following my grandfather's example, we can each find for ourselves the greatest joy we are allowed on earth. Thank you.